We are here to talk about some of the best prospects in the game and what would fantasy baseball be without taking a risk on some high-end prospects. We are covering them for you on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Onay, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Onay. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And lastly, most importantly to us and you guys as well, this time of year, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth personalized experience. Through text message alerts that you're going to get right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute podcast. And this time of year, you're going to get our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, and so much more. And if you are interested in joining us on Subtext, link is in bio wherever you're listening or watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And guys, Super Bowl 59 is here, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you'll score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started today. And all right, Matt, this is always a fun episode. And, you know, if you're Dynasty, maybe not Dynasty, but if you're playing in a keeper league or, you know, even redraft, some of these names are going to be relevant. You know, these guys turn into, you know, superstars. Top 10 prospects, you know, usually work out fairly well. And today we're going to take you on a journey of MLB.com's top 10 prospects. And Matt, why don't you take charge here and tell us who is number one?
I will. And I also will preface, this is a Dynasty show. But like Dom said, it is also relevant. Some of these guys I think might even break camp, and some of these guys are already called up. So let's get in it, and let's start off with Roki Sasaki of now the Los Angeles Dodgers,
the evil empire.
Yeah.
You sound real excited, Matt.
Totally. I feel just as excited as Steinbrenner complaining about other people outspending them for once.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's break down who he is, what I think his possibilities are, things like that. So, like, ultimately, he's been a stud overseas playing in Japan. You know, he had the last 3 years of his career, 2.02 ERA, a 1.78 ERA, and a 2.35 ERA. To boot, you know, 129 innings pitched, 191, 111. Seems like he carries a little bit of an injuries kind of type deal going on, but I also don't know how many games they play in that league and whatnot. But I mean, his highest was 20, so he didn't play 20 games in the last 2 seasons, but still incredible output, right? Plus the K/9 is outrageous, right? The year he played 20 starts and had 129 innings pitched, he had 173 strikeouts to go with that. The 91 innings pitch, he had 135, and then 111 at 129. Whip is also solid, sub 1 the first 2 years of 22 and 23 at 79 and 74. And then this previous year at a 103.6. You know, I don't know what kind of injury history this dude really has, but, you know, everything we're hearing and seeing about a 6-man rotation, I still don't think it's going to be the case come time. You know, there's question marks around Gonsolin. There's question marks around May. You know, Ohtani isn't even going to be ready for the season. So I expect him to get a full workload. And even if he does get even if they do run a 6-man rotation, you know, the only thing you might lose with these guys is 2 start pitchers, 2 start weeks. But at the same time, like, yo, let's put it this way. That just means more health. And then that means he'll probably get about, we'll say 28 starts and about 160 innings pitched. I think that's going to be a great expectation. And we could see the K/9 if he's managed to stay healthy. Roki Sasaki is going to be stellar. And just to give you a little perspective where I have him ranked before I take this long-winded take away, I'm ranked as the 23rd overall pitcher. So I'm ready to rock and draft them almost everywhere as an SP2.
Matt, we're right in sync. I'll kind of pick up where you left off there. I have Roki Sasaki as my SP 24. I think he's going to be a good low end SP 2, high end SP 3. ADP NFBC ADP over the last month has Roki Sasaki as the 24th starting pitcher. So we're all like right in sync there. What we think Roki Sasaki can do. Big fastball. But here's the thing with Sasaki, right? He normally sat around 100 miles an hour easy. Last year, his velocity actually took a little bit of a dip. He was sitting more around 96. So I want to see how he looks in spring training. I want to see him ramp up. I want to see if he can get back to that 100 miles an hour consistently, because there is a big difference between 196. That's why, Matt was breaking down those stats for you. Last year was the worst year with the 2.35 ERA, the 103 WHIP, and those are still great numbers. But then again, coming over to the States and playing over here is a different ball game. I still think he's going to translate. I don't think he's Yamamoto level. I think Sasaki is a little bit more closer to a Senga type talent. Senga is going to be more of a strikeout guy. I think I don't think the strikeout number is going to be like on another level, but he'll still be over that K per nine, probably a little bit closer to that K per nine than like a Senga or a Yamamoto. But I think Yamamoto is like a top 10 arm. Sasaki more like the top 20. I think where Senga can end up as well. But big talent. Feel good about drafting him as a lower end SP2, high end SP3. Let's move on to the top hitting prospect in all of baseball. Let's talk about Roman Anthony. Stands 6'2", 200 pounds. Plays for those Boston Red Sox, outfielder. And he's like a kind of do-it-all kind of guy. Took a huge leap last year to, jump up all those prospects list. Last year across two levels, Roman Anthony hit 291. He had 93 runs. He had 18 homers, 65 RBIs, 79 walks to 127 strikeouts, 21 steals, and he did that all in 119 games. I love me some Roman Anthony. He's one that there's a world where he breaks camp. Right now, that Red Sox team, they have a lot of young mouths to feed. And they're really going to want to see who's who, right? So if Roman Anthony comes out here in spring training, it's 8 home runs, stealing some bags, hitting 300 plus. I don't see how they can hold him back. They have the incentive to do it now. You get the extra pick if your player wins Rookie of the Year, or I think it's in like the top 3. You still get like incentive somewhere. So they have all the reason in the world to do it. Right now the outfield's looking like Duran in left, Wilyer Abreu in right, Ceddanne Rafaela in center. And then Rafi could come in and play infield too. So, there's a world where if Story's hurt, which he often is, they could put Rafi at second, and then Roman Anthony has a spot. True. They got Ron Grissom's going to play second actually, and Trevor Story's going to play short. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but there's a world where he breaks camp. So as I look at this more, I see it even being even more possible than I did before we even started this conversation. But Roman Anthony can do it all. He can hit for average. He's got power. He's got speed. Keep your eyes on him in spring training. If he breaks camp, top 50 outfielder. I don't think we should push him the way that Langford got pushed last year, because it hurt a lot of people. And he was, I think, by Matt, by opening day, like draft weekend, he was going top 4 rounds Wyatt Langford. Am I correct? I think so.
I think his ADP was about 54.3 at the time.
So there you go. So I mean, still like a top 4 round pick in a 12-team league. That's still crazy. I don't think we need to drive Roman Anthony that high. But you know what? Utility kind of bat. If you want to jump him around earlier than where ADP is, maybe do that. But don't get crazy, guys. Don't get really, really crazy with Roman Anthony. But he has the potential to be really good.
Yeah, and Domi did a great job. I'm not going to add much, but he reminds me a lot of Mookie Betts coming up through the system, not just because it's the same team that he came up with, but he just has a lot of the tangibles that Mookie had. This isn't even Roman Anthony stats; these are Mookie's. Mookie Betts in 2014, which he's been up for a very long time. Right before he got the call in 2014, 399 at bats, 87 runs, 30 doubles, 5 triples, 11 bombs, 65 ribs, 33 stolen bases, and batted 346. Then you look at Roman Anthony's last year. And with the 454 at bats and 93 runs, the 32 doubles, the 4 triples, the 18 bombs with the 65 ribs and the 21 home runs, 21 stolen bases and the 291 batting average, it's kind of on par. They have the exact same schedule. Literally, I think the same bat profile at this point. And it's kind of crazy that they're just bringing up another guy. Just, hey, 5 years later after moving him, we got another guy. But Roman Anthony, I think, is going to be a stellar player. Not this year, though. Mookie Betts didn't have an incredible year. His rookie year, he only had 18 home runs. So, it takes a little bit of time, but like I wouldn't be surprised if he did break camp. You know, he has a similar stat line. Top 50, I think, is a fair expectation with probably a little bit more upside. So he's going to be a solid bat. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about this next prospect, Walker Jenkins, and along with Dylan Cruz and how the hell did he fall below all these guys, and that you'll get the answer coming up next. Super Bowl 59 is here. One game, two teams, endless possibilities. And there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether it's predicting the first touchdown, calling MVP, or even betting on a coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to get any action. With live betting all along, with live betting all game long, you can just adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel free to feel the thrill from kickoff to final whistle. The live betting feature lets you stay involved no matter what happens on the field, and the app is super easy to navigate. Plus, knowing that you can place a $5 bet and potentially win $200 in bonus bets for Super Bowl. That is so sweet. That's the icing on the cake, right? Download the app today and and head to FanDuel.com to get started today. Just bet just $5 and you can win up to $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59. And guys, might as well make that $5 bet count, right? Let's talk about it. You got Eagles, you got Chiefs. The possibility of a three-peat is really unlikely. So I'm going to take the bet and do the money line for the Eagles. I hate it, but it is what it is. But I prefer them over Mahomes. And then on top of that, first bet parlay for you, right? 5 rushing yards for Hurts, 5 rushing yards for Mahomes, uh, over 5 rushing yards for Saquon Barkley, and over 5 rushing yards for Kareem Hunt, and then throw in a catch for, let's say, Devontae Smith, and then Hollywood Brown for 5 yards each. First quarter, and I guarantee you hit that. It's going to be a nice return on $10. Should be about $150 return on top of that $200 in bonus bets. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Look, you want to win your league, there's only one way to do it. Get our rankings in your hands. Starting the month of February, you're going to have tier-based rankings. I will, by the end of next week, have my prospect rankings done and released to you. Top 100. So you're in those dynasty leagues, that's what you want to get your hand on. Plus, our extended sleeper breakout busts and value picks going through that you're only going to get about 5 each from us on this show, whereas you're going to get about 15 or 20 from us on the subtext. Minimal cost. You get a free 2 weeks. Check us out. Link is in the description below. But let's get back into it. I've talked a hell of a lot. Dom, please, oh, please take Walker Jenkins away for us.
I was kind of hoping you were going to let me talk about Walker Jenkins because Walker Jenkins is somebody I'm super excited about, man. 6'3", 210, Minnesota Twins prospect, outfielder, and he has a little bit of the do-it-all in him, but man, this kid has some power to him. He hasn't really shown it yet in the minors. He did climb 4 levels last year, so we'll give him a little bit of a break. He had 282 Walker Jenkins last year, 82 games, 51 runs, 22 doubles, 4 triples, 6 homers, 58 RBIs. This is the part I love. 56 walks to 47 strikeouts. What a disciplined young hitter in Walker Jenkins. 17 steals to throw on as well. He's not really a speedster, not really known for much of his speed, but he likes to run. He has the will to run, and a lot with steals is that will to run. But Walker Jenkins could potentially be a 280-plus hitter, 35 home runs at 40 home runs in his prime, I think easy. And then he could chip in those steals too. If he's a 15 steal guy in the bigs with, a great plate discipline, should be looking at him in every kind of leagues, points leagues, especially because he's giving you that, Juan Soto level of walk to strikeout ratio. Don't know if he'll be able to keep it up in the bigs, but I just love the fact that he kept it up through 4 levels last year. And he's somebody we need to keep our eyes on. He's not somebody I think breaks camp. I'm going to pull up the Twins roster resource. I don't think he's a guy we're going to see break camp, but is he somebody we could see if the Twins are, making that push around the, the All-Star break? For sure, definitely. So right now the Twins have Larnick, Wallner, and Byron Buxton in the outfield. So you know what? There's a path. I hate to say it. Byron Buxton's 31 years old. We know him. He's been hurt a lot. I like Wallner. Had a strong year last year, and Larnick's okay. But there's a world, man. There's a world. If Walker Jenkins is out there hitting tanks in spring training, remember the name. Once again, Walker Jenkins, outfielder, Minnesota Twins. Do not forget him. He's going to be a stud.
Yeah. I don't know if we see him this year, but in dynasty leagues, you definitely want to take him. Probably be my second overall pick in the rookie draft. I don't count Sasaki as he wouldn't be in my prospect draft truthfully because he's, an amateur player technically. So, Walker Jenkins would be the number 2 overall pick right behind.
Well, he was drafted in 2023, so I don't think we're taking him in rookie drafts, but he's somebody I'd be looking to trade for in dynasty for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Or just pick like if you're having like a prospect draft, better yet, right? He's somebody I want to go and get. He does have it all, I love even with the fan graphs. Go check him out on there, but I'm not going to spend enough time since you did such a great job breaking him down. I'm going to move on to Dylan Cruz, somebody a little bit more tangible, somebody that's a little bit more relevant to not only dynasty leagues, but also for redraft leagues. What do you do with him, right? Dylan Cruz as a whole with the Washington, I was going to say Commanders because now I was just talking football. Of the Washington Nationals. I'm really a big fan. I have him actually ranked as OF20. Which I think is kind of close to ADP. I think they have him around like 24, 25.
32.
Oh, wow. I'm way ahead.
32 over the last month on NFBC, round pick 132.
Yeah, and I think I'm way ahead on that, but I think I'll stand by it too. It's not like I'm going to go and say, okay, like, I'm kind of crazy. I'm going to take a step back. You look at what he did in the minors. I mean, in the majors when he first got the call up, and I'm not disappointed. Like, yeah, you see the batting average and that's sitting at 219, but let's take that out of the equation. Let's just look at the rest, right? 119 bats, 12 runs. He had 5 doubles, a triple, 3 bombs, 8 ribs, and 12 stolen bases. Dude can steal bases. That's for sure. He's already showing off that he's willing to run. He already got 12 in literally 31 games. That's fantastic. Was able to pop the ball over the fence, has an 89 mile per hour exit velocity and creates contact 40. Sorry, I wasn't even looking at it. 44.7% of the time. Let's just call it 45 for to be even. And that's a good rip at creating hard contact. Now, I think year 2, what we could see in a step forward is a guy that's probably going to have very close to what we would say a Bobby Wood Jr.'s rookie year looked like, right? Somewhere around 20 to 25 home runs, good amount of stolen bases, about like, somewhere in, I would say the range of 25 to 30, a batting average probably about 250, and runs and ribbies should be pretty decent on the Nationals team. He's not going to have 100 and 100, but I could probably say about 85 and 85. That puts him at I would say, OF20. You look at guys that are going to be around him, at least in my rankings, right? And you look at guys like Wyatt Langford, Pete Crow Armstrong, Jazz Chisholm, and Brent Rooker, who I have after. And it's like, okay, are the runs and ribs going to be that much different? Are the power going to be there? And some of these guys aren't even going to be healthy for the whole season. I think Dylan Cruz is actually going to be producing at a high level and is going to be very valuable for 2025. I think OF20 is a fair price, but that ADP is even better as your outfield almost 3. Draft this kid everywhere. I think he's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I like Cruz a lot. I'm with you in the sense that I think he's going to be really good. I'm a bit closer to ADP. I got Cruz around outfielder 30. I'll say this. I think he's going to steal a lot of bases. I know if he's healthy, he's going to steal a lot of bases. Honestly, Matt, I think you're selling him short. He's 93rd percentile sprint speed. I think he can steal 40 bags in a full year. I think 40 is an easy number for him. The power is where I take a little bit of a step back, though. I think he's going to be more of a close to 20 home run guy. Maybe he gets like 18-ish. He's still young. I think he can grow into a little bit more power. He's 5'11", so he kind of has the frame on him already, but when you kind of look at some of the underlying stuff, I know you're talking about the hard hit rate. He hits the ball hard, but the exit velocity isn't great. Doesn't find the sweet spot that often. Just so kind of a lot of the other power stuff kind of isn't really there in the sense of that. Runs, think he's going to have a lot of runs. RBIs, it could be there. There's a world. He's hitting right now. Roster Resource has it. Abrams, Cruz, 1-2. If Abrams is getting on base, man, there's a world where Cruz has a decent number of RBIs, but I'm not expecting a crazy number, especially since the end of that lineup when it turns around with like Ruiz, Tenya, and Young. None of them are really great, hitters. So I'd expect, 100 runs ain't out of the cards, 18 home runs, 40 steals. let's call it 60 RBIs, and the batting average is another one. I'm not 100% sure where that lands. I think there's a world where he hits 270 plus, but I think the more likely outcome, I think is 250-ish, looking at the underlying stuff from last year. But Dylan Cruz is still going to be one of the best, he is one of the best young prospects in the game for a very good reason. And, I think he's a safe OF3 right now. I think that's where I'm going to, plant my flag and just say safe OF3. But with that being said, guys, we have so many more great prospects coming up, like Jackson Jobe, Max Clark, Andrew Painter. What are we doing with him? Make sure you stay locked on for those names and more. All right, let's jump back in here and let's talk about who's he's actually the number one pitching prospect in all of baseball. Roki Sasaki is an established, star. Jackson Jobe of the Detroit Tigers, another guy that legitimately could break camp. Jobe is 6'2", 190, has an elite fastball slider combo. The slider is absolutely wipeout. Big fastball, gets up there, touches 100 miles an hour, when he needs to, but, sits closer around 96, 97. He's got a big arm, man, and that Tigers Stadium is a great one to pitch. We saw how Jack Flaherty and Scooble, did last year pitching there. Jobe last year through 21 starts through 3 levels in the minors for those Tigers had a 2.36 ERA across 91 innings, 96 strikeouts. Batters hit 178 against him. The whip was a little elevated at a 1.12. Walked a bit too many guys, but that's something that you can get under control when you have the elite stuff. And I think Jobe, when he's around, a guy like Tarek Skubal, Cy Young winner, there's a couple other pitchers, Casey Mize is, I think, still around over there, just a veteran at this point, that could probably show him a thing or two. When you get around guys like that, really is going to help for his mentorship. And I think Detroit's just been doing a good job with their young pitching core in general lately over the past few years. So, you kind of just have high expectations for a guy like Jackson Jobe. I'll tell you this, if he breaks camp, top 50 starting pitcher easy for me. I'm throwing it out there right now. If he breaks camp, top 50 starting pitcher in my book. I love me some Jackson Jobe.
I don't think there's a way where he doesn't make camp. I mean, he already came in the bullpen,
and they gave him the invite. I know he got the official invite to spring training.
There's no way he does unless he completely flops in spring training at this point. He's kind of was on the roster all throughout the playoffs, pitched coming out of the bullpen. I think it's locked and loaded. It's just a matter of, where is the innings limit that kind of comes into it, right? That is the one biggest key. Does he get to pitch 150? Probably not. Probably like 130, 125. And
I think it's 130. He threw 91 last year, and and he threw some in the majors. He might have got close to 100 last year. I don't know how many he threw in the majors.
So 130 will get you, even if he breaks camp. That means he'll probably just get a month off in July and then come back like mid-August and then kind of just get to business all the way through the playoffs.
Like give him the old Yuri Perez.
Yeah. So I'm all about it with that. I mean, top 50 is a little high because of the innings limit, but I'm not far off. Probably more like top 65, and then just depending on where he lands in there. But yeah, all about it. Let's move on though. Let's talk about Max Clark, prospect of the Detroit Tigers. 19 years old last year, going to be 20. I don't think we see him this year, but let me give you a little insight on who he is. You go on Fangraphs, you can kind of get a perspective of actually what their hitting tool is without all the advanced stats. So on there, he has a hit tool of 25 out of 60. Game power of 20 out of 45, raw power 40 out of 45, and speed 70 to 70. And here's the thing. He has a lot of work to do. He didn't show a lot of power in the minors, but he did have some good positives, right? Like, I'm not just like poo-pooing all over the kid. 420 at bats, 75 runs, 21 doubles, 6 triples, 9 bombs, 75 rips, 29 stolen bases, and batted 279. So there's some positives, right? 29 stolen bases clearly makes up for what they're saying in the speed. Definitely says that. Hit tool is pretty decent since he's getting the batting average going across, A and A plus, and getting on base and getting those runs. I mean, that's all key. I just would like to see a little bit more of those doubles and triples turn into home runs, and then I'd be a little bit more excited about the kid. Otherwise, he's probably like more of like a Duran, where you see 15 to 20 home run upside, and out 20 is kind of more like a stretch. And then, really just a stolen base average kind of guy, where I would just put him in the Nico Horner kind of type deal as well. Max Clark should be a decent prospect. The fact that he's up this high doesn't really excite me, but he's somebody we definitely need to talk about, standing at 6 foot, 205 pounds.
Yeah, man, he's someone like he can tap into that power. I think he's somebody that as he's been coming up and getting a little bit older, they've been talking about how he's been putting a little bit of muscle on that frame, and just kind of starting to find a way to tap into it. I mean, with 107 games last year, 9 homers, 21 doubles, you don't really see it. Like, another guy we were just talking about, Walker Jenkins, you haven't really seen it yet. But if he does, man, I mean, Detroit is a tough park to hit those homers in. But if he could be a 20-ish homer guy with the speed that he has on him, and has a pretty decent hit tool, Max Clark could be an impact player. Like you said, I don't think he's somebody we see this year. Detroit, another team, they got a lot of mouths to feed, and looking at them, they got the, like they have the Parker Meadows that they want to, get the reps in. Riley Green, he's a stay. Vierling, somebody I could give or take on. Mike could find his way into the lineup that way. Kerry Carpenter too, another outfielder they have there who, they're looking to see some time at DH with him, dealt with injuries last year. So just keep your eyes out for Max Clark. He's not somebody that if he gets called up, in like a regular 12-man redraft that I'm picking up right away, but he's somebody keep your eye on, just know the name. Let's talk about this next guy though. Let's talk about Kristian Campbell, another Red Sox, prospect that just kind of climbed the charts last year pretty consistently. He's got that infield, versatility where he could play second and short, also gets a little bit in the outfield. And, he's another kind of one of those almost like 5 tool kind of guys, can really hit for average well, has a little bit of pop in the bat, has a little bit of speed, a little bit of plate discipline too. I like what he brings to the table. Another guy, I don't think he's breaking camp. They got Vaughn Grissom, Story, a couple other infielders over there. They we talked about Ceddanne Rafaela before too. A couple of mouths to feed there in Boston. But you know what Boston's doing? There's something in the water over there, man. They're really doing something with their prospects, because to have, 2 of the top 7 prospects is really, really cool to see. And even as a Yankees fan, I got to admit when a team's doing something right, Boston's really doing something right. And Kristian Campbell is no exception to that at all. Definitely somebody to keep your eyes on, if there's any injuries in spring training for Boston at that, middle infield spots, because Campbell could be somebody that's in play. Like I said, has the tools to be, definitely a contributor for sure.
Yeah, I like this kid. I actually think there's more likelihood that he makes it up at some point this season than not. Not a camp breaker. I think he's more of like, after the Super 2, if anything, like, after the All-Star break. You say they got Story, you say they got Vaughn Grissom, but Story really hasn't been able to stay healthy, too, been able to live up to the price and anything of the sort. And it's not like the contract costs much where they actually have to, keep him out on the field. And then you look at Vaughn Grissom, who they got in a trade, who they also have zero commitment to, and he's not paying him at all, really. So there's no financial commitment to him either. Whereas Kristian Campbell's an exciting name that they might want to see what they got with this young team, along with Roman Anthony. So they might come up where, like, there's a world where Roman Anthony even comes up earlier, where I'm saying that I think we might see Campbell, and then we see Campbell maybe come more up in spring trade, like September call up. There is a world, and he could be an impact maker right out from the jump, because he does have all the tangibles of the power, like you were saying. So I like this kid a lot. He's a good prospect and somebody I definitely want to keep an eye on. We'll be talking about him about the
Matt, I'll say this real quick. There's no way that at least one of them doesn't break Campbell or Anthony. I think one of them has to, just in the sense of that Boston has too much to lose if they don't bring one of them up right out of the gate, just because then you're not putting yourself in position to get one of those extra draft picks if one of them places in the rookie of the top 3 in the rookie of the year voting. So I think we see at least one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they could also wait until halfway through and still pull that off. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just a matter of production for the other rookies that are coming up this year that are eligible. But also, too, they got to factor in, okay, they're going to be able to beat out like a James Wood. Are they going to be able to beat out a Dylan Cruz? They're going to be able to beat out any of the other guys on there and perform. So it's a matter of, also, too, contractually, too, how long are they going to retain control? What is the best business decision for the organization? So, it's a push and pull kind of type deal. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about Andrew Painter. Andrew Painter of the Philadelphia Phillies, one of my favorite pitching prospects. If he was healthy, he would be the number 1 pitching prospect. He'd blow out Jackson Jobe in so many different ways. Painter stuff is absolutely redonkulous. So when you see a guy and you talk about movement, right? Oh, it moves. It looks real pretty. Look at that movement. When you say Andrew Painter movement on his pitches, was that a curveball, a slider, or just a fastball? Yeah, I have no idea. And he could do it in every which direction, right? It's like going on your Nintendo, trying to play Mario Party type deal, or like it just can go any which direction he wants. The dude has ultimate control. And on top of that, he has like 6 pitches in his arsenal, absolutely ridiculous. The thing is, it's when we're going to see him this season. I don't know. He's coming off a TJ, got a little work in the minors last year, but really wasn't enough to say, hey, we're going to do it. I don't think he breaks camp. I think they're going to be patient. I think that, they're going to let him get warmed up in the minors for at least a month or two. And then after Super 2, I think he gets the call. Andrew Painter's going to be incredible when he does make his debut, but don't be surprised if he has a really high whip, because he's one of those, not only a pitcher that likes to strike everybody out, and even though he has great control, still likes to strike everybody out, which puts him in the danger zone, but also too still coming off that TJ. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is once he comes up. But once he gets going, this kid's going to be a force.
Yeah, I love me some Andrew Painter, man. He's really, really good. One of the most talented young pitchers in the league. He showed up to the Arizona Fall League, a couple months ago, and he pitched pretty well. 2.30 ERA over 15 and 2/3 innings. Batters hit 189 against him. The WHIP was .089. Struck out 18 batters in those 15 and 2/3 innings. He's looking good, man. He's looking good. I believe he got the invite to spring training. I believe I saw that pop up. Someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I just don't want to see the Phillies rush him, man. I don't want to see the Phillies do that. I don't think it's in their best interest. I don't think it's Painter's best interest. Matt, like you said, let him sit in the minors for a little bit. Give him a month or two to dominate in the minors, then call him up. When he's fully ready, stretched out, and good to go, that's going to be the time for Andrew Painter, man.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's even a rotational spot for him either. You look at it.
Yeah, there's not right at the moment with Wheeler, Sanchez, Nola, Suarez, and Luzardo. I mean, but that's a rotation that an injury could come real quick.
And don't forget freaking Walker too. Like Walker, they're still paying $16 million a year as well. So they have a financial commitment to him, so which also will be a clog for Andrew Painter. But Dom, if you got nothing left, I'm gonna get us out of here.
Go for it.
All right. So, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show. And honestly, you're only as good as the information that's out there. And if you think you're the best, it's probably only because you're hoarding us. Start sharing that and seeing if you really can beat your friends. But, guys, when you're done checking us out, because we're awesome, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. And he'll give you all the great insight of real baseball. That being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Sure.